We're back with yet another edition of the Big Bid Theory from our palatial studios in Austin, Texas. Bill Culhane sitting in with Jim Ward. If you missed last time, for shame on you, you missed the debut of the Big Bid Theory band. Yes, our house band. This time around, we visit with Gage Lutz, corporate purchasing manager with the City of Austin Purchasing Office. Jim has the next in the lineup of crazy bids with a hashtag twist, and put on your seatbelts, a lot coming at you. Jim, before our visit with our special guest, what have you heard? Share some of the feedback on the history-making debut of the Big Bid Theory band.
Hey, Billy boy, how you doing today?
Doing great. Is this Irish, Jim?
No, it was supposed to be, I'm not sure what that was supposed to be. That was supposed to be Idiot Jim, which actually encompasses all of the voices. Man, I always give the wrong guess. Well, that's right. Give me the wrong voice, but no. The Big Bid Theory band has been a huge. It's a rock and roll sensation, as was once opined by I forget whom. Yeah, no, it's pretty weird. Like people on social media have really loved the fact that we have a house band. And it's been, as has been pointed out to us a couple times, we're the only podcast that people are aware of that have a house band. You know, the tour, I think, starts, the guys are talking about like a what was it, a 12-day tour? Yeah, a 12-city tour. Yeah, and they're just finishing now getting T-shirts made up, which will be available on Twitter. So on our Twitter, the Big Bid Theory at Twitter.
I'm gonna buy 12 of them. As a matter of fact, I passed a few of the band members on my way in. Now, our loyal listeners recall that back at, what was it, around August time frame, the crazy bid during one of those episodes talked a little bit about the government's putting art to use in so many, well, in my opinion, productive and interesting ways. What's the tease for this episode's crazy bid, Jim?
Well, for this crazy bid portion of the show, it's actually another first, Bill. We have so many firsts, it's amazing considering how long we've been doing this. It's a crazy tender. It's a crazy tender that you can win. And yes, this one is also about public art and the procurement for it and the uses of it in an urban setting. And also I was going to enlighten some of our listeners on the genre of light art or light painting very briefly, just so you can sound like a know-it-all next time you're having drinks with friends or whatever.
Now, I've got a keen ear. You said crazy tender. Are you preparing to go north? Oh, okay.
No, yeah, I am. And on that note, bonsoir, mes amis. Bonsoir. If we're going to work up in Canada, we have to speak French and English, of course. Yes, this is for the Winterlude Festival in Ottawa that they're having this crazy bid for. I don't want to give too much away though before the man with the coolest name of any guest that we've had so far comes up. So
yeah, that's called a segue in the business, Jim. Outstanding. And on that note,
well, as you can tell, everybody I'm sure knows this by now. I am not from in the business.
You're doing great, nevertheless. So on that note, we'll step aside for just a moment, and here's my visit with Gage Lutz from the City of Austin. Right here in Austin, not far from our studios, of course, the heart of Texas government is here in Austin. Many dedicated and talented procurement professionals not far away, including our guest, Gage Lutz from the City of Austin. Gage is going to visit with us to share some tips and talk about government procurement, obviously, as it specifically pertains to the City of Austin. Gage, when you and I visited earlier this morning, we talked about it. First of all, welcome to the podcast, but we talked about how some folks are breaking out the ice scrapers and snow boots, but here in Austin, we've got the warm weather. The ACL Music Festival wrapped up recently. It's a great time to be in Austin.
Yes, it is, Bill.
I look at your duty title. It says Corporate Purchasing Manager with the City of Austin Purchasing Office. What does that mean? What do you do? How does your office help business?
Sure. Let me start kind of overall. So the City of Austin Purchasing Office is the office within the city that's responsible for the procurement of goods and services on behalf of the City of Austin. So that would involve purchasing for all sorts of different departments of different services and commodities, ranging from stuff for the fire department to APD to Austin Water Utility to Austin Energy. And so my specific role is I'm the corporate purchasing manager within that office, and my staff is dedicated to procure on behalf of Austin Energy. So ranging from all the different stuff at the substations to the power plants to the IT, pretty much anything you could think of that the City of Austin purchases would go through the purchasing office.
And you folks stay busy, no doubt. Again, to look at Austin specifically, even though we've heard Rick Perry and now the relatively new governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, have talked about business and economic growth in Texas. And I've even heard Austin City Mayor Steve Adler rightfully bragging specifically about Austin and how good the economy is in Austin, how good it is for business right now. How's the city of Austin been able to pull that off when you look at some other regions in the U.S. and they're taking hits?
That's a good question. I bet, you ask a few different economists, you're going to come up with a few different answers to that. But, in my opinion, from what I'm seeing in being in Austin, being around business in Austin, I think really the diversity and the large technological aspect of the business in Austin has really provided an opportunity for Austin. Certainly with being the capital city in the state, there's, a large government sector presence, and that really does bring some stability to the economy when other times you may see a downturn. So I really think, all those factors combined have really been beneficial for Austin.
Sure has, and you were talking about the city of Austin, but I travel the I-35 corridor, and it's amazing to see the growth over the past decade or two. Jim Ward, our co-host, he and I talk about the endless benefits of business to go after and pursue public sector. In your opinion, what are a few of the must-dos?
Letting us know that you're there. So the City of Austin in particular has a great online. You can get to that by going to Austin Finance, or that would be austintexas.gov/finance-online, and that'll really get you to the financial heart of the City of Austin. Within that, there is a site for purchasing, my office, as well as a link for Vendor Connection. Vendor Connection is pretty much an all-in-one tool where you can go on and register as a vendor. You'll be asked to sign up for different commodity codes, and those are the different representations of the goods and services that we procure. And when you're setting up your account, if you sign up for the various goods and services that you're interested in providing, when we have a solicitation opportunity, you'll receive an automated email that'll go to your registered address that will let you know, hey, there's a solicitation opportunity out there. Click the link to see if it's something that you're interested in. First and foremost, that's really the heart of doing business with the City of Austin, is getting your name out there. Also on Vendor Connection, there's a number of tools where you can go in and see a contract catalog, an extremely transparent contract catalog, in that you can go on and search for a contract with a particular vendor, and you can pull up that contract online. Negates the need to go through a public information request. It's all there online. In addition, you could look at bid tabulations for previous solicitations, saying, if you're looking to participate on an upcoming one, what was the pricing last time? It really has some great tools for vendors. In addition, there is an expiring contracts list where you can see what will be expiring in the next 6 months, years, so you know what to look out for and know to prepare for the opportunity when it comes out. Those are really great tools for any vendor that's looking to do business with the public sector. And I would say, once you get into the solicitation mode, the solicitation is going to be the heart of what we are doing as the City of Austin Purchasing Office in procuring. I guess the number one tip that I have would be really read the solicitation. The City of Austin in particular, and throughout public procurement, it's really all about transparency and stating our requirements, what we require. All the different terms of doing business with the city, all of those are in the solicitation, as well as different submittals, anything like that. To really be successful in the solicitation, really just need to look at what that solicitation says and really make sure that you're compliant with it. That's a huge tip for anybody that's trying to get in with a public sector department.
Great feedback. there, Gage. And I, in particular, I love that word transparency, and I know the city of Austin does a great job. I hate to put you on the spot here, Gage. You know, there are many of us who wish we had a magic wand, right? Could kind of be king or queen for the day. If you were given the power for a day, what would you change regarding government procurement and why?
You know, well, that's a really interesting question. You know, I'm trying to think through my mind, what would I really change? And, you know, honestly, there's nothing really that stands out that I would, you know, wave my magic wand at to fix. I would say in general within the public procurement industry and certainly within the city of Austin, we're dedicated to improving our procurement program to make it more efficient, more effective, and more transparent. So really there are a lot of things that we can change and update on an ongoing basis, whether it's how our solicitation website is set up, accepting electronic bids, honing in our solicitations to where they most accurately represent what we're looking for. So while there's not really one thing that I would change, there's definitely a lot of ongoing improvements that we do at the City of Austin that really does improve our procurement process.
Gage, thank you so much for visiting with us today, and on behalf of our Big Bid Theory audience, do appreciate you carving some time out of your schedule to visit with us.
Well, thank you, Bill. I really appreciate the opportunity to be part of your show, and really do thank you.
Jim, clearly Gage is a guy like us, we would suggest, has a passion for government procurement. He also uses a word I know near and dear to our hearts when it comes to public sector procurement. He talks about transparency.
It was so refreshing to hear. First off, let me say this one last time to really drive the point home. What a cool name, Gage Lutz. I mean, my gosh, you know, for a guy, Jim Ward, I just have 7 letters, right? I'm always in awe of those kind of names. But no, Gage was awesome, and the fact that he was the one just trumpeting transparency was very refreshing. And some of the tips he gave, I think were so spot on. I mean, they were simple, but they were accurate. You know, go over your paperwork again. Make sure, you know, just the little things. But one anecdote, Bill, that I always hear this from vendors, that they don't like doing work in the public sector because of, I have heard a billion reasons why, and like 3 of them make sense. But anyway, so here's the way I kind of view it. And then we didn't have time to go over this with Gage, but during a strong economy, the private sector, and I wouldn't say we're in a strong economy now, Bill, but I would say it's, you know, above average. Would you agree?
It's like a roller coaster. I tell people it's going to go up and down. Now here in the state of Texas, as Gage and I talked about, things have gone pretty well in the Lone Star State.
Exactly. So the private sector is active and presents a much more attractive option in the race, you know, from here to $1, so to speak. So when the economy kind of turns south, that's when the public sector is always going to be there, because the money was earmarked prior to that particular turn in the economy, hence the steady flow of business coming out of the public sector. So I would keep it for a rainy day, if nothing else. That's always been my thoughts on it. And
you and I are well aware of, there are some businesses where public sector work supplements the bottom line. We're aware of those clients as well who rely 100% on public sectors. I believe in insurance.
I'm a big fan as well, except in blackjack. Suckers play. But yeah, I mean, I personally, I'd love to see the business model of 75, 25, 80, 20 of private to public, because you can always, from 75, 25, you can always change that 10 percentile pretty easily without it affecting your infrastructure. When I hear people, I talked to somebody today, I mean, 85% public work, wow. I hope they don't go on a dry run. But yeah, once again, thank you very much, Gage Lutz. Very, very, very cool guy.
I echo that. Now, on to #CrazyBids. The late, great Dan Slavin is one of many brilliant light artists. The the number of light artists, for those who don't know, well, it's staggering. Governments are interested in the talents of these brilliant people. Jim, talk to me.
Okay, so thank you for bringing up the godfather of this genre. First off, welcome to this edition of Crazy Tenders that you can win. It's a first here. So yes, it's basically for urban light art installations. Okay, I'll get into that in a second. So the way light art, what that means even, way back like Picasso and Man Ray, like they realized that they could use light as a paintbrush. Like there's kind of a famous picture of Picasso kind of using this white light to create some figures. And so fast forward to post-World War II, basically the start of modern, I'm doing air quotes here, but modern art, you have some movements like the minimalists, and that's where the Dan Flavin, the great Dan Flavin, and just so you listeners know how much I worship this guy, on my Twitter page, the background I have is something that he had lit as an installation in Germany, that entire like structure. Everything is owed to him. Nowadays, we have these things called light painting, which I actually myself have gotten into a little bit. Basically, it's long exposure photography meets trying to control the light. Art geeks out there will know what I'm talking about. The rest of you can just be comfortable in the fact that you're not an art geek. So, on to the Crazy Tender. So this is for a public art exhibition of large-scale light installations inspired by Canadian nature. And what this is for, like I said, it was for this winter ice festival they have called Winterlude, and it's in Ottawa. It's very reminiscent of the Harbin Ice Festival, Harbin, in China. I think that was probably the original one, but they're lit up just like it's like a dreamscape. It's gorgeous. That's basically what this bid is asking for, is for different artists. And this is one bill that I actually pulled up that I may take I know we have a hiatus coming up, much to the chagrin of our listeners, but much to the sanity of you and I. This is a bid that I could, or a tender. This is a tender that I could win, because you've seen some of the stuff I've done just in my backyard playing around with this.
Incredible. I can't do stick figures. So anytime I see any kind of art, I'm amazed and impressed.
Well, it's fun. It really is. Now, controlling light is so hard, but the artists who do this are amazing. Canada has a public art program like the U.S. used to have back in. Do you remember how they used to fund art in like the 70s and I guess the 80s? They probably quit. And I don't really, not that I remember the 70s per se.
I was a mere baby. I was a baby in arms, so no, I don't.
I'm like, I read about it, but no, I think it's just great that Canada supports us on a national level like this, and is taking Canadian artists, which are bountiful, and giving them a stage on which to ply their trade, which they normally wouldn't have. So this is actually being put out by Canadian Heritage, which is kind of like Canada's like Parks and Recreation combined with Department of the Arts, or anything cool related falls under Canadian Heritage. The request date was September 21st, and the closing date for submissions are November 2nd. And the neat thing about this, too, Bill, is it's just for Canadian artists or permanent residents of Canada, which, once again, I kind of like the the nationalism. The Canadians are proud people. Would you agree?
And sometimes that's appropriate. Now, there are other times I think we're putting up walls, putting up barriers I'm not a fan of. But, yeah, exactly. If you want to support and promote artists in your country, sure.
Well, it's not necessarily promoting or it is. Okay, let me back up. Yes, they are promoting artists within the country, and they are giving them this venue. But at the same time, I know in Dallas they've recently had this Aurora festival it was basically an urban light show. So what they're doing, Bill, is these artists, the technology they have is amazing. My gosh. They're able to do temporary landscaping of anything just using light. It's fantastic. It really is. And so this one in Canada, I can only imagine if it's one like in China, is even more fantastic because it's lit up like ice sculptures, like gigantic, like Renaissance-style ice sculptures. Oh, it's grand, totally grand. I like this crazy bid because it's one that I could win. And by the way, that was A, the letter, not A for Canada. Okay. And B, this was something that I thought a lot of our listeners were probably, those that are into the arts would probably be interested in being introduced to this. I mean, you've seen the work and you've kind of dug it, right?
Oh, absolutely. So very good, Jim. So hashtag crazy bids, hashtag crazy tenders. A new hashtag for the big bid theory. Now, next time on the show, we go outside of Texas. As a matter of fact, we're going to visit with an expert on procurement from the state of, well, you'll just have to wait to find out where. Jim, how'd you like that tease? Jim's going to have another crazy bid or tender. A bunch of reasons you'll want to tune in again. Jim, what's the takeaway that's going to hold us over till the next edition of TBBT?
Well, first off, I just wanted to dedicate this podcast to the memory and the work that still exists of the amazing Dan Flavin. I know it's not much of a tribute, but it's all I got, as they say. And lastly, Bill, I just wanted to thank our listeners. Our followers are so amazing. The feedback we get steers us in the directions that you want us to go. So keep it coming, and thank you very, very much. It truly is heartwarming.
And we do appreciate everybody visiting iHeart and elsewhere, downloading, sharing, and following the podcast. And as Jim pointed out earlier in the show, the answer is no. We don't have any dates yet on the Big Bid Theory band tour. Keep the emails coming. You can email me at bcolhane@bidprime.com, and Jim's email is jward@bidprime.com. As everybody knows, this show has a Twitter handle as well, @The Big Bid Theory.
Hold on. Can you turn that down? They're tuning up there. Go ahead. I'm so sorry. Go ahead. You're fine. They were just tuning up their instruments right now, so they don't realize we're recording.
You can find Jim on Twitter as Jim Ward, the number 6. I'm contract_Hunter. For Jim, our staff who were kind enough to cut short their weekends on our behalf, well, for money and fame as well. Thank you to Gage Lutz from the city of Austin. And as always, Gage Lutz. Thanks for listening, folks. Get ready for the TBBT anthem. Woo! They're getting ready to fire things up. Until next time, go Gunners, Barracudas, Tigers, and Bobcats, and we wish you all the best in growing your business.
Ward out.
We're having so much fun on the Big Bid Theory. Got Jim and Bill hosting the Big Bid Theory. Bill seems to know his stuff much more so than Jim, and they're talking government procurement